Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the last part of the Demonology PvP guide. So in this video we're going to go over everything that you should be doing as a Demonology Warlock. We'll also go over damage rotations, what to do in caster form, what to do in demon form, and how to set up your burst. Okay, so let's get started. Let's talk about utility and survival first. Demonology has quite a few things that are unique to the spec. And the first couple of things that we'll talk about relate to your Felguard, or the Wrathguard if you upgrade them. So each Felguard, they have a 4-second stun on a 30-second cooldown. So I can just use that right there, stuns my target for 4 seconds. So that's just, basic utility. You have to make a macro to use it, and I recommend also making a focus macro. I showed those in the last video. The next thing that this Felguard brings is a healing reduction debuff, or a Mortal Strike-like debuff. This is only brought by warriors or rogues. So this is really good if you're not playing with one of the classes. It's also brought by hunters, but it's kind of a bitch for them to put that up. So you'll see the debuff effectiveness of any healing done is reduced by 25%. If you don't have this upgraded Felguard, it's only 10%. So yeah, it's a big reason why I like taking the Supremacy talent to get this Wrathguard. Another big thing is in demon form you can use Carrion Swarm, which is a knockback. It knocks your target back, and what's cool about this is it's only a 12-second cooldown. So it's really good on arena maps like Blade's Edge Arena or Dalaran Sewers. You can knock them off the ledges, you can knock them off in BGs. It's a really short cooldown, that's why it's really good. So let's talk about auras. These auras basically are AoE Curse of Elements and AoE Curse of Enfeeblement. So you go into meta form and you cast the aura, and all the targets, even if you leave meta form, as long as you have this buff on you, will be affected by your aura. So this was nerfed actually pretty hard. Curse of Enfeeblement in general was nerfed to 10%. I think that, yeah, 10% less physical damage. It used to be 20. Also, the aura cost is 150 Demonic Fury. It used to be only 50. So this is pretty expensive to use. So I don't think I'm going to be using this so often. Just because of the Fury cost, and it just doesn't seem worth it. But you can do it. Aura of the Elements might be worth it in BGs or rated BGs. Just thought I'd point that out though. Okay, let me show you a trick now. You basically have two teleports as a Demonology Warlock. You have a teleport in caster form, so I can teleport right there. And you can also teleport, it's on a separate cooldown, you'll see the cooldown right there in caster form. If I go demon form, it has a different cooldown. So I can port, it costs Fury in demon form, it costs 40 Fury. So you'll see my cooldown right now in demon form is 20 seconds. If I leave demon form, you'll see my caster form portal cooldown. So it's only 10 seconds. So yeah, that's a cool trick that not a lot of Warlocks know, and even less people who play other classes know. So you can do that to trick a lot of people. The last thing that Demonology brings is this Heroic Leap-like ability. It's called Demonic Leap. You enter demon form and you can just leap like 20 yards or whatever. So it's kind of cool to get away. It's just something that people don't expect sometimes. So you can use it. I don't use it too much. It does cost Fury, and I like to save my Fury for damage, but it's there. You can use it. It's helped me got some CC or get away sometimes. Okay, so let's start talking about damage. So you can think about damage as two parts as Demonology. The first part is what you do in caster form, and the second part is what you do in demon form. So we'll talk about caster form first. It's a more complicated one. Your goal in caster form is to build as much Demonic Fury as you can as quick as possible, so you can spend it in demon form and actually do a lot of damage. In caster form, you're not going to do a lot of damage. You just have to accept that. That's not your goal. Your goal is to build the Fury. So just keep that in mind whenever you're in caster form. So there's a few ways, there's a lot of ways actually to build Fury, so let's go over those. The first one is Corruption. So Corruption is just that dot, and you want to keep this on as many targets as you can. 2, I would say, is the bare minimum to try to keep it on, but if you can keep it on 3 or 4, that's really good. You'll get a lot of Fury. It gives you Fury each time it ticks. Okay, so the next way to get Fury is by using Hand of Gul'dan. So this ability has a 15-second cooldown, but it has 2 charges. So you could technically use them back to back if you have both charges up. Now what it's going to do is if I use this, it puts a 6-second dot on the target, and each second I get a little bit of Fury. Now, because of the charges, they don't stack. So if you use it back to back on the same target, you don't get double the Fury. So what you want to do is you want to use one charge. You wait for the dot to expire, and then after you use your second charge, and you'll get all the Fury. One thing to notice about this that's really helpful is it's like an AoE ability. It'll spread. It'll splash to a nearby target. The range isn't too big, but you'll see I'll use Hand of Gul'dan on this guy, and this dummy will also take the dot. So I'm actually getting, because there's 2 dots up, I'm getting double Fury. So if I see like mirror images up or something like that, even though I'm wasting damage by maybe putting it on a mirror image, I'm spreading it to all those nearby mirror images. Might be getting a lot of Fury, so it's worth it to do that. Okay, so the next Fury resource is going to be Imp Swarm. This is a glyph that you take. Gives you Imp Swarm, and it's going to summon imps. They just attack randomly, and they do a lot of damage. But more importantly, they give you a lot of Fury. They give you a lot of burst Fury. You can save this for when you're about to go into demon form, but it's also just a good way to get quick Fury. If you need to start the fight getting quick Fury, then this is good to pop early. Just kind of depends when you want to use this. And the last way to get demonic Fury, well, second to last I guess, is your pet. Whenever your pet hits, does its basic attack, it gives you a little bit of Fury. Okay, so if you have your Hand of Gul'dan's used and you have Crush on everything else, what do? The answer, in PvE, you're going to want a Shadow Bolt. That's your main filler. In PvP, that's not the case. You almost never want to cast Shadow Bolt. It's just not worth it. The Fury that you get isn't great for the risks that you take for opening up your school from being interrupted or line of sighted or anything. So you have 3 choices here. Choice 1 is the most often. When there's one enemy, you just want to Fell Flame. It gives you 15 Fury, and I mean it's decent. It's instant. It's nice. Does decent damage. Does about 20k damage. So that's pretty good. If there are a lot of targets, I'd say 4 or more, you can Hellfire actually, and you can run as Demonology, and you actually get really good Fury. I think it's 3 a tick. Yeah, it's 3 a tick plus 10 Fury per second. So you can actually get a lot if you just spam Hellfire and there are a lot of targets up. The next one is sometimes you'll get Soulfire procs. Here, I can use them. The imps generate Soulfire procs. Let me get my imps out. So the imps generate Soulfire procs once in a while. Also, randomly when you Shadow Bolt, you'll get a Soulfire proc, and they look like this. It has the proc effect like that. Gives you a fast Soulfire, and these actually do decent damage. They always crit. So they do decent damage. They always crit, and more importantly, they give you 30 Fury each time you use it. Just spending some Fury right here. So yeah, it gives you 30 Fury each time you use it, and it does decent damage. So yeah, it's worth it to use. It's not so crucial that you use them every time you have the proc, especially if someone's on you. Just Fell Flaming is fine, because if you get interrupted, then it's just a waste. So I do this only when I can free cast, when nobody's on me, something's in line of sight. But it is nice to maximize your Fury and damage in caster form. Okay, so now let's go over what to do in demon form and how to spend all that Fury that we have. So thankfully this is a lot simpler. You really only have 3 damaging abilities that you're going to be using in demon form. You'll see them right here. What happens is these spells are going to transform. So I'll go demon form. You see these spells change into something. So the first one we'll talk about is Chaos Wave. This is your hardest hitting ability. Again, it has that 2 charges, so you can use it back to back. And it costs 120 Fury, and it hits for about 70k, it looks like. It also hits nearby targets, so if targets are grouped up, you can cleave them like that. This next one is Shadow Bolt, turns into Touch of Chaos, and basically it's just an instant Shadow Bolt. Does, oops, sorry, there it is. So it does about 30k, looks like. So that's not bad. It only costs 40 Fury, so it's really effective. It's a really efficient way of using your Fury. Okay, this last one is what Corruption turns into. It's a dot. It's Doom. So I put that on, and this will persist even if you leave Demon form. So I'll leave Demon form. It's gonna tick. It'll tick in about a couple seconds. Let's see how hard it ticks for. It costs 60 Fury, and it ticks for about 50k. So that's not bad. So it's really good if you can time burst with that. That'll help a lot. So you'll see I have one on there too. Alright, so Demonology is one of the best burst specs in the game right now. So let's go over how to set up that burst. So the first thing we'll talk about is how much Fury do you need? What's the minimum amount of Fury? You really want at least 400 Fury before you go in. Otherwise your Dark Soul is probably going to be mostly wasted. You'll run out of Fury too quickly before the 20-second buff ends. But on the other hand, you don't really need a full Fury bar. Anything from like 400 to 600 should last you most of those 20 seconds. If you have more, great, but a big mistake I see people making is waiting till they have 800, 900, or almost a full Fury bar before using your cooldowns. You don't need that much. You just need, 400 to 600, and you should be good. Okay, so let's set up the damage now. So I'll show you. I'll reset my damage meters when I pop my Dark Soul. We'll see how much burst we can do on a 2-target cleave right here. So I already have Curse of Elements right here. What I'm going to do before is I'm going to pop in a Demon form and doom these guys. Okay. Pop out a Demon form. Now I'm just going to Corruption these guys. Okay. I'm going to pop my Imps right here. Okay. And then we'll reset my damage meter. I have Fellstorm up, and I also have 2 charges of Hand of Gul'dan up for Chaos Waves. I'm resetting my damage meters, popping Meta, Demon form, my on-use trinket. I'm Fellstorming. And then I'm spamming my instant Shadow Bolt after I just Chaos Wave twice. And you'll see my Chaos Wave will recharge in about 3 seconds. My Doom's ticking. Okay, I'm going to Chaos Wave one more time. I'm just spamming instant Shadow Bolt. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so my Dark Soul just ended. I did about 155 to 160k burst on that. Okay, so this Grimoire of Sacrifice spec is gaining some popularity, so let me show you the difference, what you would do when you use this and you want to burst. So most of the time you just want to have your Felguard out, usually, and you can just use him for utility, and then when you're ready to burst and you have all your Fury, you just sack him before, and you go meta, you pop your cooldowns, and when these 20 seconds end, when your cooldowns end and you're done bursting, you should have this buff that lets you resummon your pet again. So then you have him for until your next cooldowns come up. So that's how I see people playing it. I don't know. I'm still not a huge fan of Grimoire Sacrifice. It's good with a warrior, but that's the difference. Okay, so that's the end of this video, guys. I hope I showed you burst, your rotation in caster and demon form. And yeah. That's basically everything about Demonology, and that wraps up the guide. So I'm looking for ideas for new videos. I'm wondering whether I should go into Affliction. I'm not sure since it's still not very popular. Or if you guys want to see BG footage or rated BG footage or arena footage. So just let me know in the comments what you want to see specifically. Alright, see you later guys.